thinking about moving to Tampa and wondering how far your dollars are going to stretch? Then you're going to want to watch this video where I cover the cost of living in Tampa Bay. I'm going to cover everything from childcare, groceries, gas. I'm breaking it all down, so stay tuned. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into my channel Living in Tampa, where it's my goal to show you everything you need to know about eating, sleeping, playing, and living in the greater Tampa Bay area. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the cost of living in 2022. I have done this video previously, it's been a few years, and a lot has changed since then, so I think it's long overdue for an update. I get asked these questions very regularly by people that are moving here from out of state or even internationally. They really want to know how far their dollars are going to stretch in Tampa, and so I hope that this video will be useful to those of you who are considering making the move here to Tampa. So Tampa has changed a lot these past couple of years. In fact, I think everywhere has changed a lot these past couple of years. The coronavirus and the pandemic, fallout from the pandemic has just really changed so many things. And Tampa in particular, I think, has been affected because we have more people moving here than ever before. I've been a realtor in Florida for over 17 years, and I've been working in the Tampa Bay area for about 14 years now. And I have to say, these past couple of years, I have helped more people from out of state move here than I have ever before. And I think the result of the pandemic, where people have found out that they are able to work from home, or that maybe, they are just tired of being locked down or fed up with high taxes, and they want to come here to Tampa just for a variety of reasons. And that has just led to exponential growth here in the Tampa Bay area. We've got construction everywhere. We've got, housing developments popping up left and right. We've got businesses coming here from all over the place. The Tampa Economic Development Council has been working really hard to attract high-wage jobs to the Tampa Bay area, and that's resulted in a lot of companies moving their headquarters here to Tampa Bay. We are top of the list for a lot of companies because of our favorable tax laws and, just the cost of living that we have here. So many things make Tampa attractive for corporate headquarters, and that's leading to a lot of people moving here for work as well. So lots of different reasons that people are coming here, but basically it's just resulted in Tampa changing so much that parts of it are actually unrecognizable. In fact, for me, when I first moved here in 2008, we moved to Land O'Lakes, which at the time was considered pretty far from Tampa and pretty rural. But, we were young and we had 4 kids and we needed a large house and we didn't have a large budget. And that was what worked best for us at that time. When we first moved here, the main road, State Road 54, that runs east-west from basically all the way from the Bay, the new Port Richey area, all the way over to Wesley Chapel, it's like the main road that goes through. It used to be just one lane right in front of my neighborhood, and now it's 3 lanes either way. I can't even recognize some of the stretches of State Road 54, and I have to say I'm getting a little bit spoiled by all the conveniences that have come along with this growth, but I do miss the cows in the pastures. We used to have cows right at the entrance of our neighborhood, which I always thought was super cool. Now that little space where the cows used to be has turned into a Circle K. And while my daughters love running up there to get Polar Pops and it's convenient to stop for gas, I would much rather have my cows back. But I digress. Back to the subject at hand, I was talking about how much Tampa has changed. And yes, a lot of the cow pastures are disappearing and there's a lot of housing developments there. And one of the main things that people are concerned about when they are making a big move across the United States or across the globe is the cost of housing. So the cost of housing in Tampa is still considered quite affordable when you compare it to other areas of the United States. However, I have to tell you, our average price point has risen significantly since 2018. So back in 2018, our median price point, or our average price point, I should say, was just $260,000. That seems like a lifetime ago, because now in 2022, last month, February, the stats showed that our average sales price was about $403,000. That is an exponential increase. And I guess some people might call that unaffordable, but when you compare it to areas like California or New York, definitely the cost of housing in Tampa is going to be much, much lower. Now, the market right now is super competitive. So if you are looking to make the move to the Tampa Bay area, I want to make sure you understand what you're going to be up against. Almost every home that goes on the market right now is getting multiple offers, and buyers are having to waive a lot of contingencies. They are having to pay more than the house is listed for, and then a lot of times they're even having to pay more than an appraised value on a home. So that's something that you need to be prepared for if you're considering a move to Tampa. You are going to have some extra cash on hand in addition to not only your down payment and your closing costs. You are most likely going to need what's called an appraisal gap, which is basically the money over an appraisal that you're going to have to pay in order to win a house in the Tampa Bay area right now in 2022. Now, hopefully that will stabilize here in the near future, but that's just what you need to expect right now. So if you're not sure if you're ready to buy yet, there is of course renting, so I do want to cover that. Although I do not specialize in that area and I don't know much about the rental market at all, I mostly specialize in residential sales. The average rent price that I was able to look up online for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, regular house, like 1,800 square feet, is hovering right around $2,400 right now in the city of Tampa. You can go, a little more on the outskirts and have a little bit more of a commute, and it might be a little bit less, but that's just the average price right now. So that's pretty high. I think Tampa has some of the highest rents around. I was really surprised when I pulled those numbers, because when I look at what you would pay when you're buying, you're going to be much better off buying. I don't know why anyone would rent right now, unless of course you're just not sure about the area or you don't know how long you're going to be here. But it's definitely going to be cheaper for you to buy than to rent. The next topic I would like to cover is gas prices. So that's always on the forefront of everyone's mind, I think, and especially right now with the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Things that are happening over there have really caused the gas prices to skyrocket. So this is not typical of where our gas prices are, but it'll definitely give you an idea in comparison to what you're paying currently. So again, right now is March of 2022 when I'm making this video, and there is, the average is anywhere from the low $4 mark to maybe about the $4.25, $4.30 mark. The gas stations that we have here, we have a lot of different ones, but I know there's different gas stations in different areas, and people are always curious about that. I think there's one in Texas that everyone loves that's called Buc-ee's. I had never been to one until last year when we went to Houston, and then we went to Dallas area, and we were able to stop at one, and it really is quite something to see. It was humongous. I've never seen anything like that. We don't have those here in Tampa, but what we do have, what I really, really love, is the Wawas. They are fantastic. I love the food that they have there. Surprisingly, it's really good. They can make the bowls and burritos. They have a large selection of different foods that are fresh made, not your typical gas station fare, but my favorite thing to get there are the pretzels. I am so partial of pretzels. Maybe that's the German in me, but look at these. They are so yummy. But anyway, at the local Wawa, the gas that I just paid for, you can see here, it cost me about $70 to fill up my 2015 Dodge Charger. I have never, ever paid that much to fill up my tank. It hurt the wallet a little bit. The other gas stations that we have a lot of are Racetrack, which those are fantastic. If you like coffee, you're going to love the Racetrack coffee. They have where the beans are ground right when you get your cup. So it's fresh ground beans, and the coffee is just delicious. We also have Circle K, which, as I mentioned, my girls love going there to get the big Polar Pops. Nothing like getting a good old shot of diabetes. But those are our main gas stations, I would say, is Racetrack, Circle K, and Wawa. Of course, you're going to have all your typical Chevron, Shell, BP, and all of those. So that sums up the section about gas prices. So next up is groceries. I know we all spend a lot of our paychecks on groceries, so I wanted to go into a little bit of detail about that. Also wanted to cover which grocery stores we have here, because that's also something people are always curious about. Our main grocer down here in Florida is Publix, and they have some beautiful stores here. They also have their Greenwise brand, which is more like their organic kind of store, a little more high scale. It's very beautiful stores. Those are definitely our most popular grocery stores. Next up, I guess, would be Winn-Dixie. There are still quite a few of those, believe it or not. And then, of course, we have all the specialty grocers like Sprouts, which I love, Aldi, Earth Fare, Whole Foods. These are all great grocery stores that you definitely would have access to here in the Tampa Bay area. But what I'm going to cover today is really from Walmart, the nation's largest grocer. I was just going to go over what their prices are currently right here at the Walmart that I shop at. Now, I don't go into the store. I use their delivery because I just do not like grocery shopping, and I think their delivery service is the best thing that has ever happened to me, or one of the best things. And I just love being able to order my groceries on my phone. But here is just a snapshot of some of the basics and what the prices are right now in March of 2022. So first up is going to be milk. As you can see right here, it's $3.69 a gallon. And then I'm going to move on to bread. That is just, your basic Nature's Own bread here for $2.98. Moving on to the coffee, looking at Dunkin' Donuts brand, that is, I'm not going to buy like a Walmart brand. I'm going to buy the Dunkin' Donuts brand. That's going to be $7.72. And then if you want to talk about fruits and vegetables, let's just go into a little bit about strawberries. Right now, we have the best strawberries. I've got to tell you guys, in Tampa, just to the east is Plant City, and they are pretty much nationwide known for their strawberries. They are the best strawberries ever, and they have the Strawberry Festival every year, which is something you absolutely have to do. Actually, I think it just ended. It's usually in March, and they have the Strawberry Festival. They have strawberry shortcake there, and you can buy strawberries there. They have, it's like a fair almost. They have rides and things like that. And it's just a lot of fun to go and spend time with your family and hang out there and enjoy the delicious strawberries. So we have some of the best strawberries in Tampa. So right now, for a 16-ounce pack at Walmart, you're going to pay about $2.48. And then if you'd rather have apples, they are running about $2.47 a pound. So I'm not going to go over every single thing. I just wanted to give you a little glimpse of what our prices are like. And then I always like to include the price of beer, which our local brewery here, we have several small breweries. We've got Big Storm. That is probably one of our best. But there's Three Daughters Brewing. There's so many, more than I could ever name here on this video, but that's a really fun thing to do, is to buy the beer passport and go and try out all the different breweries, and then you get a little stamp in the passport, and at the end, when you've tried them all, you get like a t-shirt and a little award, and it's just kind of a fun way to see Tampa by checking out all the breweries if you like beer. But the other one that people maybe don't know that is actually has a brewery here in Tampa is Yuengling. Now, they originally are based in Pennsylvania, but they have a brewery here in Tampa right next to where like Busch Gardens and Adventure Island are. And so Yuengling is definitely a staple, the Yuengling beer. So right here in Tampa, right now, a 12-pack of Yuengling beer is going to cost you $12.48. So I hope that answers most of your questions about the groceries. If you have anything that you're really wondering about, you can always comment below or reach out to me, and I'm happy to let you know what we're paying for that currently. But I think this gives you the general idea. So let's move on to utilities, because I think after groceries, that's probably, after you pay for your house payment, you pay for your groceries, probably your next biggest expense is going to be your utilities. And there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, about that here in Tampa. So I want to clear up some of that for people. A lot of people are curious as to why we don't have more solar here, and that I actually do not have a good answer for. I mean, we are the Sunshine State, so you would think that everyone would have solar, but surprisingly, there's not that many homes that I have sold that actually had solar on them. Now, we do have a lot of people that use solar to heat their pool water, or even like a passive solar system, but for the most part, people are not installing solar panels here in the Tampa Bay area. It's kind of a rare thing. The other misconception is like heat and gas. So there's not a whole lot of gas. There are some of the new communities that offer gas, and then there's a few like existing communities that have gas, but for the most part, you're going to be all electric here in Tampa. So your stove's going to be electric, your heat and AC is going to be electric, and pretty much everything is going to be electric. So we have what are called heat pumps, HVAC systems. They do both heat and cool. And so those systems in Florida, in Tampa in particular, are going to be running pretty much year round. And what's crazy is that some parts of the year, like say March right now or February, where it'll be cold in the morning and then get really hot in the afternoon, you might actually use both your heat in the morning and then your air conditioning in the afternoon. So these systems get worked a lot. And consequently, we do have to replace them pretty regularly. I would say your average system in Florida, and in particular in Tampa, is going to last you between 8 and 10 years. Now, there are definitely exceptions to that, and I've had a lot of homes where they've been 15 years or older and they're still functioning. But personally speaking, from our experience, ours only lasted 8 years, one of them, and the other one was 10 years. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind when you're budgeting, because replacing those AC systems is not cheap. Now, talking about your month-to-month payment, just to give you a general idea, I'm going to share with you my personal electric bill here for my family. Now, keep in mind, we have a pool, so we are running our pool pump. We also have a very large home, 3,400 square feet. So this might be a lot higher than what you would expect to pay if you were looking at a smaller home. So our electricity in August and September is kind of the peak where we pay the most. And sometimes in those months, I do pay over $300 because the AC is literally running around the clock, because those are our hottest months. But the other months of the year, I don't think our electric bills are all that bad. Here's my bill from last month of February. As you can see, I paid $208. I don't think that's bad to cool down and heat a 3,400 square foot house and run the pool pump for 8 hours a day. And then here you can see my water bill. You can kind of see my average consumption here. We have currently 3 people living in our household, and last month my bill was about $120. So again, I don't think that's too bad. Another thing to keep in mind here is that I do not have a well for my sprinkler. I do not have reclaimed water for my sprinkler. So this is including watering my lawn, which that's where a lot of your money is going to be spent on your water bill if you do not have a separate reclaimed water or a well for that, because you are still paying the sewer charge on that water, even though it's just going out to your grass and it's not actually going back into the sewer. You are still being charged a sewer charge on that water, and obviously that takes up a lot of water. With our grass here, how hot and dry it can get, the grass needs a lot of water. So for me, $120, I don't think that's too bad. Again, that's going to go up considerably in different months of the year. Now, in the summer is our rainy season. So in June, July, a lot of times even August, I don't have to water my grass. So our water bill actually tends to go down during those months. But, in the spring, when everything's starting to come back to life, you're running your sprinkler a lot more often, and that might be a little bit more. The other expense is going to be your cable and internet. Now, a lot of the homeowners associations here will tend to include that in your HOA. Some people like that, and some people hate it. So there's pros and cons, of course, in my opinion. I think you do get a cheaper price on it, but then you are limited to that choice of provider. And sometimes people aren't satisfied with the one that their HOA may have contracted with. Our main providers in this area are going to be Spectrum and Frontier. My HOA does include my cable, so I'm not completely sure what cable and internet costs when you're just paying for it out of pocket. I did a little research online and by asking around, and what I'm finding is that with Spectrum, it seems like it's going to hover anywhere around $50 to $70 depending on which cable plan you choose, which speed of internet, and things like that. Spectrum is definitely going to be the more affordable option. There is Frontier as well, but it is a little bit pricier, and I don't think you can get cable through Frontier. I might be wrong on that, but I think it's only internet. But just so you know, those are the two main providers here, and that cost can really vary depending on where you're living. And when you're looking at those HOA fees, be sure that you ask the question of what's included, because sometimes you might think the HOA fee is really high, but when it's including the cable and the internet, that's actually not too bad. The next topic I'm going to cover is childcare. I get asked this question a lot by people that are moving here from other areas that aren't sure what to expect when it comes to paying for care for their little ones. If both parents are working, that's something that's going to be very important to know. And so I try to keep on top of that. While I can't speak from personal experience because all 4 of my children are grown, in fact, my youngest is graduating from high school this year. I can't even believe it. But I did call and I did ask some of my friends who have younger children to get kind of a general idea of what to expect. And it seems to be that the price is going to be anywhere from $200 to $300 a week, depending on which provider you go with. Now here locally in Land O'Lakes, I stopped by the Creative World that's located in Oakstead just to find out what they're charging these days. And for a toddler-aged child full-time, what they consider 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. is full-time, so you can utilize as many of those hours as you need. They are currently charging $230 a week. Now, Creative World is kind of one of those franchises that's nationwide. They do have a really good reputation, and we have several of those here. But there's so many different places to choose from, and I think you're going to be very happy with the level of care that you're going to get for your child, and it's going to be very easy access for you because there's so many communities that actually have a childcare located either inside of the community or just very close by. The next topic I want to cover is property taxes. So a lot of people are moving here because they're tired of paying high property taxes, and I will say that Florida's taxes are definitely lower than a lot of other places. Now, it definitely depends where you're moving from, because I have heard some places where people think our property taxes are higher than others, but you do have to keep in mind that Florida has no state income tax. So that might balance out if you think our property taxes are higher. If you're currently paying state income tax in addition to your property taxes, you might actually come out about the same amount. So what I'm covering today is kind of just your basic 3-2 house, 1,700 to 1,800 square feet, somewhere in there. If it was to cost you about $400,000, I think your tax rate is going to be right around $3,500. Now, this is if you are located in a community that does not have a CDD. If you're not sure what a CDD fee is, then you might want to check out my other video. It explains all about CDD fees. Now, we have newer communities, most of them that were built after 2005. If they have amenities, they are going to have these fees. It's called a community development district. It's a taxing authority, and basically you're paying for those amenities and the infrastructure of your community through this special tax that becomes part of your property taxes. So if you are looking at a home that's located in a community with a CDD fee, in most cases that is going to add somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $2,500 a year onto your taxes. If if the home is a little bit older, a portion of that CDD fee over time does get paid off. There's two parts of a CDD fee. And so, the CDD fee could be lower on an older home, but that's definitely something you want to verify with all the homes that you're looking at, is whether that fee is part of the taxes. If so, how much it is, and what you can expect your total property tax amount to be. Speaking of taxes, let's talk about sales tax. So here in the Tampa Bay area, we have 3 counties. Tampa is in Hillsborough County. That is the main Tampa county. So Florida overall, the Florida state tax is 6%, and Hillsborough County has an additional 1.5%. So the total sales tax rate currently is 7.5%. Now, the 2 counties that surround Hillsborough are Pasco to the north, and then Pinellas, where our beaches are, to the west. Both of those counties, the tax rate is actually just a little bit lower because the county tax in both of those counties is only 1%. So the total sales tax in Pasco is 7%, the 6% state plus the 1% county, and the same thing for Pinellas County. So if you're making a large purchase like a vehicle or something of that nature, you might want to consider looking in the surrounding counties so that you're paying a little bit less sales tax. Well, that wraps up my video, The Cost of Living in Tampa for 2022. I hope this answered a lot of the questions that you might have about how much it costs to live here in Tampa. Hey, speaking of that, if you are thinking of moving to the great city of Tampa, please give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email. Whichever method of communication you prefer is fine. I'm always available. When it comes to moving to Tampa, I've got your back, so don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you next time.